All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today I want to talk about Andrew Tate, which is kind of surprising. I thought after, he was basically banned from the entire internet that we would never really be talking about Andrew Tate again. But it turns out that today, Twitter basically unbanned Andrew Tate. Actually, I don't think it was today, it may have been yesterday, but over the last 24 hours or so, Andrew Tate has been unbanned on Twitter. And now, of course, this isn't the only person who's gotten unbanned. Now there's talks that, maybe Donald Trump will be unbanned from Twitter. Elon Musk is doing a poll on that, but I really want to focus in on this Andrew Tate one because this is the highest profile unbanning that Twitter has basically done. I believe Kathy Griffin also came back to Twitter. I believe she got unsuspended or unbanned or whatever, and there may have been somebody else, but I think Andrew Tate at this point is the highest profile one. It's actually even trending on Twitter right now. A bunch of people are tweeting about it, and Andrew Tate is exploding in popularity on Twitter right now. He's gained hundreds of thousands of followers today alone. And there's basically two different ways to see this, right? On one hand, you have people who don't like Andrew Tate, don't really agree with the messages that he spreads. They're probably a little worried now that Twitter has unsuspended him. They're probably worried about, what is he going to say? What's he going to do? Is he going to wild out or whatever it may be, right? Then on the other hand, you have people, primarily Andrew Tate supporters and fans, who are excited to see him come back. They're excited that Twitter is unbanning people like Andrew Tate who have been controversially shadow banned or suspended or whatever it may be across social media over the last few years. And overall, I just want to talk about the unsuspension of Andrew Tate, what it means. Is this a revival of his career and online persona? What exactly is my opinion on this entire thing? Just kind of talk about the topic in general, man, because it's definitely pretty interesting now. I remember when this all started to unfold, and it seems like just instantaneously one day, the entire internet canceled Andrew Tate. You had him getting banned off of all these platforms and all of his social media accounts taken away. And it was like suddenly it was taboo to be an Andrew Tate supporter, and like he was just getting canceled from all angles, it felt like, right? Everybody kind of cracked down at the same time. The whole world just instantaneously turned their attention to Andrew Tate. But now that he's unbanned, it's definitely a pretty interesting phenomenon to watch. If anything, I'm really surprised, I'm surprised more or less about how powerful his comeback has been. I mean, we knew that Andrew Tate was heavily supported, millions of fans at this point. He was one of the most Googled people of 2022. He's had an absolute explosion this year and everything. Like, we already knew all this stuff beforehand, but once again, I didn't see him coming back to social media as really a possibility. It felt like at that point in time, everyone was against Andrew Tate. There was no real way for him to come back, any of these kinds of things, right? And it's been pretty surprising to watch everything kind of unfold, right? Because, there's people just going crazy about this, and, you got a lot of his supporters who have jumped on board, and they're showing their support. It's pretty insane. I mean, the guy hit 700,000 followers as I'm recording this audio. When I checked earlier in the day, when I was doing the initial research for my video, he had 536,000 followers. So this guy is exploding on Twitter again. It's only a matter of time before he reaches 1 million followers. And honestly, probably before there's this big moral panic made out of this whole thing again, right? Oh my God, Andrew Tate is unbanned on Twitter. What's he gonna say? What impression is he gonna set for the children? You're gonna have people jumping all over this, right? And people defending him. It's gonna create, I feel like, another massive argument. You're gonna have people debating on whether or not we should cancel Andrew Tate. Is it acceptable for him to be on Twitter? And there's, I feel like, a lot of different perspectives, right? You have people who watch him a lot. I'm not one of these people. I've seen Andrew Tate clips on TikTok. I've seen what I agree with. I've seen the things I disagree with that he said. I feel like when it comes to Andrew Tate, people take it as more of it's like a black and white situation. You either agree with everything he says and does, or you don't. I don't know, man. I'm one of those people. I don't agree with everything that everyone says, or I don't disagree with everything that someone says. Even with the people I idolize and look up to, like Kanye West, for example, I've been a longtime supporter of his. He's one of my idols, one of the biggest inspirations for my entire career at this point. But I also disagree with some of the more recent things that he's said and done. I mean, I feel like you can look up to people and take inspiration from people and see things about people without taking everything in. Andrew Tate has said some things that I do do agree with and that I do think are right, but he's also said the things that I'm like, okay, dude, you're kind of pushing it a little bit there, right? I feel like if you're a free-minded person, a free-minded individual, you have that capability to like break things down, you know, where you can see things for what they really are, you know, not everything has to correlate, not everything has to be in tangent with one another, you know, it's tandem with one another. It's not one of those things where you have to just take in everything he says. So I feel like that's part of the problem with the thinking around this entire situation. You got people who just are freaking the fuck out, you know, they think that everyone's gonna see like one thing he says and it's just gonna change how everyone views everything. I kind of disagree. I think that there's a lot to criticize the guy for, but to sit around and pretend like he's the biggest threat to society is just fucking ridiculous, man. Now I get why a lot of these platforms didn't want him on there. You know, he's controversial, he's bad for business to a certain extent, he's saying shit that doesn't really go with the status quo. So I get why a lot of people like are against him and like why these companies didn't want him on board and shit. But I feel like everyone's just viewing this from such a like, you know, black and white perspective, like I said. And it's the same thing, like a lot of people criticize him and act like you can't agree with just some things and not the other, but at the same time you have people on the other side who like are like, if you don't agree with everything he says, then oh, you're a fucking beta male, you're this, you're that, you know, you're not a G. I feel like that same thought process is just as ridiculous, man. Overall, like, I don't know, Andrew Tate hasn't significantly impacted my life in any way, right? Like I've made a couple of videos talking about the guy and like the situations that he's been involved in, but he hasn't made like a massive personal impact on me one way or the other. Like I haven't heard anything he said that's like completely revolutionized my life. Honestly, like if I never saw an Andrew Tate clip again, like I would be pretty unaffected. Like I'm not a huge fan of the guy, I'm not a hater of the guy, he just doesn't, you know, he doesn't fucking play any role in my life. And I feel like that's the case with like the vast majority of people in this situation. Like, yeah, maybe he said some things you agree with or whatever, but everyone acts like it's just down to one or two different options. And I mean, that kind of just resonates with like a bunch of different things that I feel like a lot of people do that, you know, with everything, you know, you can only think one thing or you automatically think the other. It's just a broken mindset that a lot of people have. And I feel like it really applies here, but we can't pretend like this isn't a meteoric explosion in followers. Like this guy's gained hundreds of thousands of followers over the last day or two. Just people flocking in droves to follow the guy and see what he says next and what he does next. But I mean, people are acting like they're just completely stunned, you know, like it surprised me like, oh shit, Andrew Tate's unbanned, you know, just like hearing it the first time. But like as a decision, do we really think this is like anything too far out of pocket? Like Elon Musk was literally talking about unbanning Donald Trump, who is infinitely more controversial, I feel like, than Andrew Tate. Like hundreds of millions, if not over a billion probably, people have some form of opinion on Donald Trump, and they're talking about unbanning him. The poll is currently winning to unban Trump, so it's not like a total surprise. This is just in line with a lot of what Twitter's new policies are, you know? It's a more free speech platform now with Elon Musk. That's what they're focusing on, at least. Whether or not they're being efficient in actually creating that is definitely up for debate. But personally, I just think this Andrew Tate shit is a little overblown, like from all directions, you know? Everyone acts like this is the fucking, like, the top person on the planet right now. Like, I get he has a lot of influence, he has a really big platform and everything, but you also have to keep in mind, like, a lot of the controversial shit this guy said has been problems that have resonated in society for a long time. Like, these have been things that people have been debating for decades, right? He's not the first person really to say any of the shit that he said. Maybe he's the largest person to say some of the shit that he said, but everyone acts like this is some sort of like fucking like turning point in society or something, is like the unbanning of Andrew Tate on Twitter. Like, I just feel like it doesn't really affect people's lives as much as they want to pretend that it does on both sides. And like, let's be real, is there a chance that any of these other platforms are going to do the same thing? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, most of them have banned him for similar reasons for why he was banned off Twitter. You know, he got canceled at that one point in time and everyone kind of just got rid of him at the same time. You know, they didn't really deal with bullshit. They didn't kick the issue around internally for weeks or months. They just got rid of him. And it was like he got taken off of everything at once, right? So with these other companies, I mean, they haven't had that Elon Musk moment where like someone stepped in and just radically shifted how they're doing everything in their company. So I don't know if I see him getting, you know, reinstated on Facebook or whatever else he's banned off of. You know, it just comes down to Elon Musk is trying to make all these changes at Twitter, and I think that's why this in particular happened. But I don't see these other companies doing it. Even if he's less controversial now than he was a couple months ago, even if he's maybe got less, you know, controversy, if that's the right word. I don't know. I want to speak carefully because I don't want to misconstrue what's going on. Like, I guess if it's the controversy that's still keeping these platforms down, then yeah, but I don't know. I think Twitter's probably going to be the only platform this guy really has outside of like his website and things like that. I don't see this being like some major shift in the paradigm or something where all these other platforms just suddenly are pro Andrew Tate and they actually step in to do something. I don't know, man. It just comes down to you either support the guy or you don't, you know? Personally, I don't watch his content. I'm not checking his website out every week or anything like that. So I guess I'm qualified as not supporting him in most people's eyes, when in reality, I just don't care, you know? It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect the outcome of my life. I don't take Twitter so seriously that I feel like it's gonna fucking lead to the downfall of society if this guy's unbanned. People look at this situation way too biased. They look at it with only a couple perspectives in mind. And this is really just not a big issue. You know, it's not a big deal. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus while watching Andrew Tate get unbanned and signing out.